In every seed lies tomorrow, in every choice, love's embrace.
Remember how entwined and how much a part of this web of life we are, and that we so deeply belong to this earth, that we are a force of nature.
Be kind, be sweet, be compassionate, be humble, and allow yourself to be found by your own true love.
Be in your body. Feel and honor this incredible vessel that we journey with in this lifetime.
Guided by the truth, by goodness, by beauty.
Make your body, make your energy, make your mind a safe space for as many other humans as possible, for the more than human world.
Welcome back. We hope that you've had a great few weeks whilst we were off air. We said we'd be back last Thursday, and it means a lot to us to always keep our word. However, one of our team members was sick with COVID, and so we chose to honour the need for rest. We shared this in our newsletter, but some of you might not be connected with us there, and so we wanted to let you know here as well. We are back with a very special episode today, which has a special story. As you may know, I spend a lot of my time in circles, hosting sharing circles, sitting in women's circles, or other circles with community, and I love it. I am planning to share more about how to host these beautifully on an upcoming course. One of the ideas I've had for a long time is how beautiful it would be to make a podcast in a circle where the microphone is the talking stick. And I imagine doing this in a beautiful yurt. And so I invited some wise ones, past podcast guests, future podcast guests, beautiful friends to join me for an experimental circle podcast episode. As I was feeling into a theme worthy of everyone sharing something about, the question that arose for me was something like, what wisdom would you share with your grandchildren, imaginary or real, for these times? As we sat down in a circle together and pressed record, this theme took on its own life, and it felt like we were all both grandparents and grandchildren simultaneously while sat around the fire together. However, it wasn't that simple. I had been very unwell with a high fever the week before and was still recovering when everyone gathered on an August day at 42 Acres in Somerset, where there is a beautiful yurt I have held space in many times before. Just as we got to the yurt, the seven of us and dear Shambo, and set everything up and made a fire, the most intense rainstorm began. We couldn't hear each other speak with the loud pelting of the rain onto the roof of the yurt. We laughed, we waited, and then we made the decision that we had to relocate. It seemed like the rain was not going to let up. We gathered all our things and Shambo and ran to the cottage. We arrived soaked, especially the dog, with the sound and recording equipment safe and dry. Some of us stripped down into what was dry enough so that we could sit together in the circle, putting our clothes on radiators to dry. And then we pressed record and held the most beautiful podcast circle episode. It was captivating and powerful and felt like such a precious moment in time. Of course, as we started, the rain stopped. This episode was so powerful, and after everyone left, I checked the recording and realized we didn't have it. In all honesty, it was my human error. When I was checking something, which was actually to do with the microphone, I accidentally muted the microphone. Although for a moment mortified, I forgave myself and let go of the shame quickly, and everyone was wonderful about it, knowing that the rain, the running, and my illness might have contributed to it, as well as being both the host and the sound man for something fairly complex. We decided as a group we would do it again. It had to be online, as we wouldn't all be in the same place for a while. And so we planned a time and date in which we were all going to come together and re-record this same episode. And that day, one of the beautiful guests was unwell and couldn't make it. And we really realized that it had to be the same constellation of us for it to bring the same energy. So we rearranged again and we recorded with some tech difficulties. And I share all of this because what really landed for me was that I really want us to be able to do these episodes that are more experimental and that are these different moments that really invite you into circle with us and bring multiple guests together and create these powerful, unique moments. And I realized that I can't do it all, and I can't do it all unsupported. And so it is my desire that we have much greater support from the community so that we are really listener funded and that we have resources so that we can have the extra person present for these recordings and that they can be in charge of the sound production aspect so that I can really focus on the hosting. And for that to happen, what we need is your support. This means joining our membership, which I really feel is a beautiful space. Of course, with all of these things, it's as powerful as everybody in the community makes it. And as a member of All That We Are, you get access to Soul Space, which is these really beautiful group gatherings where we delve into a theme and we do a group healing session around that theme and an activation, which involves planting seeds of qualities together in this shared field. And for me, this space really means that as a global community, as well as receiving the information and the transmissions that come through the conversations, that we're really able to anchor these shifts and do it together so that we, as a community, as All That We are actually a very powerful vehicle for change in the world, that we are showing up together and we're doing that deep work. And there are other aspects with the membership, including a group where you can chat to other members and me and the team. Also, I have the desire to create more member events in person and online so that we can gather in community and that we can explore themes through the Going Deeper sessions and special events. In order to do this, we just need more of you to join. We need it to be more thriving so we have more resources and we can bring on somebody that can really help to nurture the community and to create more events and all of that. And so if you are not currently a member, please do join. It ranges from £7 a month. It's on a sliding scale. You get the same no matter what you pay, as we really want to come out of that capitalist mindset where the rich get richer and actually offer everything that we're offering in a way that is free to the global audience that listen to the podcast, and that everyone that joins as a member, whether on the lowest tier or the highest tier, is contributing to this work that we're doing, which really isn't in the space of creating content or filling gaps or something nice to listen to. It's really in the space of creating transformative experiences, ones where something happens to us through being in this space together and through committing to being beautiful humans on a path of change and beautiful leadership and togetherness and wanting to be fully alive and awake and present to the challenges that we face at this time. In addition to the membership, I also offer Beautiful Leadership, which is a one-to-one mentoring space. And for me, this space is beautiful and powerful because it allows for these very deep shifts to happen over some months. And one of the amazing, beautiful leaders that finished the mentoring recently said that she felt like she had a completely different worldview that was now integrated into her through being part of it. This is something that I believe that as much as we can do things on our own, when we have somebody that can help to anchor the shifts, that can create that structure and that space, that so much can happen during that period. And so I want to invite you to book a call if you're interested in doing the beautiful leadership with me. We'll be starting in a couple of weeks. And I have also made a workshop. It was a free workshop, and I will share the link in the show notes if you want to register for that. And it has practice and meditation and activation of the vagus nerve and a deeper understanding of the mentoring program there embedded in it. And so coming into today's episode, what is important for me to share about this is that we are in a time and space and a culture that doesn't really value eldership. And we're also at a time where there are so many more degenerative diseases that are creeping into that time when we're getting older as a society. All of this is factoring in, as well as just the timelines of how we do things. So, for example, one of my grandfathers died before I was born. My other grandfather died when I was 8. And both of my grandmothers died in my early 20s when I was still at university. And as you know, my father has also died, and my mum has Parkinson's. And I have not yet had my own family. And so I'm also really aware that if I have children now at the age of 40, that I might not necessarily be around for my grandchildren, especially if I have children that then decide that they want to have children later in their 30s and 40s. And so I feel with this, there's an invitation for us to explore the part of us that is able to tap into timeless wisdom and that is able to share our experiences, if you like, the inner grandparent in all of us. And with that, also tapping into the inner grandchild in all of us, that we all need that extra guidance, that loving guidance that can illuminate the way for us. And so in this episode, that is what we're opening space for. And I hope that you can listen as both a grandparent and a grandchild, and of course, whichever space and time you find yourself in this current moment of your life. The circle has 7 of us in order of the way in which we were sat in the circle, the way in which you hear the voices. Our first guest is Esteban Rusala, who is inspired by the possibilities that a more conscious and wholesome relationship with tech can bring society. He's currently working on tech products to facilitate the shift to the circular economy. Isla McLeod, who you will know from this podcast, is a ceremonialist, ritual designer, and companion at Thresholds, dedicated to restoring the sacred and inspiring a loving, reciprocal relationship with the natural world. Isla curates healing journeys and soul crafting ceremonies that activate pathways of remembrance and belonging. Her book, Rituals for Life, is a guide for honoring our natural transitions and cultivating more magic, meaning, and connection in everyday life. Jessica Ferro, who you will also know from this podcast, is an entrepreneur, facilitator, mentor, mother, and activist. Her heart-based leadership and transformative experiences guide businesses and organizations into unlocking their purpose, leadership, and strategic responses to the climate and ecological emergency. Inspired by nature, her work centers around building regenerative cultures where people and communities can thrive. Guy Ogilvy has been practicing spragrist, which means that he is a herbal alchemist and student of the Western esoteric tradition, for many years. He lives in Bruton, Somerset, and his hobbies include foraging, mycology, and music. Helly Cameron, who you will know from this podcast, weaves her love of our beautiful earth, heart expansion, and embodied exploration into everything she does, sharing nature-inspired practices, bringing people together in community, and curating the Mind, Body, Soul area for Noisley Festival. With a background in sustainability, she co-creates and explores soft-rooted ways of being that receive, celebrate, and empower all hearts in this collective remembering of all that we are. Barbara J. Hunt is a forgiveness specialist, speaker, workshop leader, and best-selling author of Forgiveness Made Easy. You will also know her from this podcast. She has over 30 years' experience in personal and spiritual development as a mentor, coach, and group facilitator. She leads online forgiveness field workshops and courses on mental and emotional well-being. She works in private practice internationally and on bespoke retreats in rural Somerset in the UK. Barbara is an integral musician and singer-songwriter and has recorded several albums and singles, including her Song for International Peace. Her newest album and next book are due to be released later this year. And then you have me. I host the All That We Are membership space, the beautiful leadership, mentoring, and of course, you know me from this podcast. In this circle, you will hear that we go round the circle in one direction, which is moving to my left, clockwise, and then we close the circle, moving to my right, anti-clockwise, and we go back round all of the speakers. At the very end, Isla closes the circle with a beautiful song that she received at a retreat in Embercombe this year, which was for transitions and thresholds, gathering women who hold rites of passage ceremonies. They think the origins of the song are from Jane McAvoy in the States. If you know her or the song, do write in and let us know so that we can pass on that information. As songs get passed around in singing circles, these songs, and they take on lives of their own and they move through circles around the world. And often they get taken far away from the origins, and it's beautiful how they live on. It means that often we don't know exactly where the song came from, even if it is one that we love to sing. Hilariously, we did try to all sing the song together in the online recording that we made, which we did manage to do when we were all in person, and it was so beautiful. And of course, as you may know, it's really hard to sing a song together when you record online. And so you are just receiving Isla's singing, but know that we were all holding the song with her. In this episode, entitled Dear Grandchildren, Letters to Our Future Generations, we explore the question, what insights gleaned from this lifetime can we pass on to nurture the beautiful future that we are creating? And we all hope that this episode inspires you and that the wisdom that you receive from this episode, you are able to live in your life and pass on to those in your family and your community. And also that it really stirs your own inner wisdom and perhaps leads to you having conversations with your grandchildren or those in your life where you share your wisdom in circles. Welcome to All That We Are, with me, your host, Amisha Gadiali. On this show, we explore the weave between activism, the sacred, creativity, and regeneration, the spaces where our inner and outer worlds dance. From healing trauma to nature connection, to new technologies to ancient wisdom, it's time for us to move beyond silos and into an integrated way of being. Every one of us has ideas and personal experiences to share that can lead us to a more beautiful future. Despite the challenges we face as a global community or the pressures we meet in our daily lives, when we stop and dare to listen, to ask ourselves the big questions, and to share what we are already doing and envisioning, we create the futures of our wildest dreams. And we begin to embody all that we are, all that we are becoming, and all that is possible. Drop into that space of connecting into the field, into the circle, and into that seat of wisdom that we each hold. Opening ourselves to bring forth the wisdom of our lives and our lineages and our ancestry, our future generations, and this culture.
Dearest grandchildren, Esteban here. I have a story for you of wrong turnings, of despair, of the trance-like states we sometimes enter, and the invitation into something new that those wrong paths, present us with. This is a story from when I was a child on one of my sister and my visits to our father in Chile. We went to see the flowering desert in the Atacama Desert, a beautiful sight made even more rare by the changing climate patterns. We were driving through the desert and came to a fork in the road with no signpost, and we took the road that seemed bigger and better maintained, but it ended up being the wrong road. A few hours into the drive, bang bang, a double puncture. No signal, not sure where we were, weighed down by the scorching heat during the day and tired from the freezing temperatures at night, and just dispirited by the failed attempts to get help. We started to lose hope as the days went past. Looking back now, what's most interesting for me is the trance-like state I entered to cope with the situation, where the days just blur into one another and the time is as hazy as the shimmering desert. I feel modern society is in a similar trance-like state today, a trance born from the modern Western world's forefathers' decision to take a road that seemed full of promise, the promise of science, technology, medicine, or progress. And whilst these have had undoubted benefits, our collective soul has lost so much along the way, lost our connection to nature, community, spirit. We all feel that void, and yet we persist in the trance of business, a collective striving forward ever more quicker, without really knowing the destination or why we're headed in this direction. And yet my heart is full of gratitude that the tribe is gathering, and there is a new story emerging, one that comes from realizing that we're destroying our planet and inflicting much hardship on the majority in the name of progress. This new story that honors wisdom and the sacred. And in the story I just told about my childhood, we were rescued by some guys scoping out a new route for Paris-Dakar. But in this collective story we're living through, there will be no rescuer. Our only salvation is that we are again presented with a fork in a road to continue down this current path, or to explore paths towards the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. Thank you for listening, dear grandchildren. We pray that you take these words into your hearts. Choose love, prayer, connection. Continue to reclaim beauty in this world by resisting society's urge to rush. And keep planting seeds and nurturing seedlings in your own garden. Know that you don't need to plant the most exotic seeds or nurture the biggest plants. The ones that the universe brings to your feet are the ones to take care of. In every seed lies tomorrow. In every choice, love's embrace.
Hello, dear ones. It is Isla, your grandmother here, and I'm here to share with you some of the insights I've gleaned from this life, starting with what I wish I had been told when I was young, that life is not about being happy or striving for success or being measured by our achievements, but actually it's about how we show up to live a soulful life, where we are prepared to meet the wild gods of the threshold and look them in the eye and face those fears and those calls from our soul of what we truly and deeply long for. It may not be an easy walk, this journey in life. We will be met with losses and with grief and with failure. But how we turn that into the forge of our inner strength and our resilience and our capacity to bear witness to pain is how we can fully embody this gift of being human in all of the grief that we meet, with all the gratitude and the praise that we feel for the beauty that we witness, to feel fully and not attempt to live a half-lived life because a path was set out for us that we're told is the way we should walk and how we will find happiness or salvation. Because within you are seeds that are uniquely yours that you carry. You have this blueprint, these instructions, which are yours to reveal, and only you can reveal them. And there are times when we'll be met with heartbreak that rips us apart. And in those moments, we can numb ourselves to the pain and distract ourselves, or we can look it in the eye and allow it to take us over, to break us apart and allow that light in to those darker places. And I say this because there's such pressure to be happy, to feel that we are bright and light and fulfilled. But I know from my journey that the times that I have been with my deepest pain have been my most enriching and transformative and healing and beautiful. And I think back to my first journey with deep heartache from my first love. I was in so much turmoil from all the dreams that we'd made together that would no longer be fulfilled, that all I could do was take myself away to the wilds and be there so that I could really meet myself in this pain. So I went to Dartmoor for 3 months and I lived there alone. And I remember one day I went to bury a stone up on near a tor. And I dug a little hole in this fertile soil up there on the moors. And as I dug and got all this soil under my nails and was weeping and feeling like there were no more tears left to cry, I saw beneath the soil all this life within darkness. I saw the seeds, I saw the networks of roots and mycelium, I saw a worm, and I felt all this potential that comes from within the darkness. So it's not a place that I fear anymore, that it's actually the place that I turn to with the deepest respect, because it's where all life begins. And in the same vein, to also be open to meet the edges around the threshold of death, so that we can prepare for the ultimate rite of passage when we leave this body and this life. We can prepare by meeting all the mini deaths of our life, all those times when we have to let go of an old way of being or an old mask or part of ourselves. And when we meet those moments in ceremony or ritual, to hold space for ourselves, to be intentional with what we are releasing and what we are beckoning forth and stepping into, we have this opportunity to experience that threshold of death in a good way, to really see that it is a threshold for our rebirth, for our becoming. So it's not something to deny or avoid or fear, but actually an invitation for us to live more fully. And I know from my youth, there were times when I sought out danger and, in a way, death, because it's something that we need as we make that transition into adulthood, to experience those edges. And in our culture these days, we don't have those initiations and rites of passage held by the community. But I urge you to seek them out, to seek others and elders who will hold you across that threshold, to give you that experience of meeting your death in a good way. And knowing that, feeling where there has been fear, transmuting that into this trust that there is a process that we are a part of, a journey and a cycle of the rhythms of nature that weave us in to this whole macrocosm of the world, of the cosmos. And then we remember how entwined and how much a part of this web of life we are, and that we so deeply belong to this earth, that we are a force of nature, and we have all the seeds within us to know, to remember who we truly are and what we are here for. And so I wish that for you so deeply, that you find these seeds, that you nurture them, that you give praise for all the gifts that you are here to bring, and that you love fully and face your fears And when you get to the threshold of your death, you can look back and say honestly that you met the full expression of your soul and really trusted in the way that you were guided, the way that your heart called for you to show up and reveal yourself and be a part of this magical life with love.
Hello, dear grandchildren. It's Jessica here. When I was a little girl, my dad told me, Jessica, be a good listener. If you can be anything in life, be a good listener. It's good to listen. My father's a good man, and he was right. And I think what he meant was listen to each other, listen to people. But I've been reflecting on what he said lately, and I realized that it applies to more than just each other. It applies to all of the things in life. It applies to nature. It applies to each other, and it applies to ourselves. If you look at all the problems in the world, the issues we have today, and there are many, most of them probably could be boiled down to disconnection that we feel as people from each other, from ourselves, and from nature. And so when we can start to listen, things are going to change for ourselves and for each other. So my wish would be for us to start listening to each other better and listening to ourselves. I was walking in nature the other day and I had a question. I was asking, what does the land want me to know? What does this land want me to know? And as I walked around for about half an hour, I spent time down on my knees looking at the dewdrops, and I was looking at the thistles coming through with their wispy little seeds. They're ready to spread in this September time. And I was hearing the magpie calling. And I thought, that's it. None of these things are trying to be anything. They're just doing it. They're just being the expression of nature that they are. And I realized that we ourselves are beautiful expressions of nature. It's only when we can get out of our own way, we can start to channel that life force of which we're part of. And I realized that I'd been stopping myself. I've been holding myself back in all these different ways. And it was only when I got out of my own way, I could start to let that energy flow. And life feels different then. So, grandchildren, how can you listen more deeply to yourself, to others, and to nature? And I'm offering you this wisdom with humility. Like when you're small, awareness is like a small flame in a cave. And as you grow, your awareness grows, and your flame grows, and you become more aware of the cave. It illuminates the walls and the sides of the cave, and you start to see more detail. But you also start to have a growing awareness of how big the cave is and how much of it you still have to explore. And so I offer you this wisdom with humility, knowing that there's so much that I don't know. Sending you love.
Beloved grandchildren, you are beloved from the start, and you are known. Know that you are known. So much of your life, particularly in your teens, early 20s, will be taken up with trying to know who you are. And you'll try and find the clues to that in your reflection, your relationships with your friends, what they say about you, or how your parents teach you. But you already are, in the most profound degree, everything that you are going to be. The ancients tell us that each one of us is the entire cosmos in miniature, a microcosm of the whole, and that everything on the outside is already with you on the inside, which is why the ancients told us to know thyself. It was written on the temple of Apollo at Delphi and on the great temples in ancient Egypt. Know thyself. And in each of the great cultures, there has been a god, there has been a half man, half god, who has mediated the wisdom of the gods, the above, to each of us miniature cosmoses below. And that has been Hermes, the Greeks, Mercury to the Romans, Thoth to the ancient Egyptians, Quetzalcoatl in Latin America. Central America. And they mediate this wisdom to us. And Hermes tells us that we are this microcosm. And he tells us through alchemy that we consist of three great principles. And not just we as humans, but all things consist of three fundamental principles: soul, spirit, and body. And here you are in your body. But your body's just a part of you. And your body will be dust to dust and ashes to ashes in a blinking of the eye of the cosmos. But it's your opportunity here and now to be and discover yourself for what you are. And what mediates between you, your body, and you, your soul, is a thing called spirit. And they each have different roles to play. But the soul is the most important, because the soul, we are told, in all the great traditions, is immortal. You were here before you were here. You were here in life before you were here in your body. And your spirit is that which animates your body and allows your soul to inhabit your body. And the soul is here to be free. It is here to be loosed from the fetters of ignorance, forgotten what it is. Now, this is a mystery, why this should be. But we have the opportunity to set our soul free, and we can only do it by allowing it. So we must be wary of what the body says that it wants to do, because the body is driven by desires, and the spirit is driven by the need to provide identity. And it's really what manifests as the ego. So be careful with false identity. It's important to express yourself and have fun with that expression and be spontaneous. And we want to dress like a punk or act like a punk. Do that. Everything is allowable. Everything is allowable. But always remember that at the heart of this is your connection to absolute truth, absolute beauty, absolute understanding. And it's only the soul that can do that. And the soul can find itself in everything. But nature is the most dependable mirror of your soul, because nature knows you. Nature recognizes. Everything in nature knows what it is. We funny human beings seem to be the only things around who are not quite sure what we are, who we are, or why we are. But we don't need to worry too much about wrangling with those problems if we go out of ourselves. It's important to get over ourselves. I flippantly say sometimes, rule number one in life, get over yourself. In other words, don't focus on your problems, your sense of inadequacy, or trying to express yourself and being frustrated. When you feel frustrated, find nature. Even if you're in a city, you can go out, find a tree, find a park, get still and get quiet and see how nature finds you. Because nature, being what it is and knowing what it is, can help reveal to you what you really are. In the tiniest details, the tiniest little critters, the ants making their nest, going about doing their business, the beauty of birdsong, you can forget yourself and lose yourself in a reverie of beauty in nature, which will allow yourself to feel the love, to feel the connection, because you are born in relationship. Life is a love story. We are looking for that part of us which is unknown, that part of us which we have this deep inner yearning for, and it will find us if we allow ourselves to be found, because it is already there, and it is waiting, and it knows us, and it loves us, and it knows the whole story, past, present, and the future, before you have even begun to experience. And it is love, so trust it. Know that you have your natural buoyancy. Know that there is no real abyss. The abyss is an illusion. You jump off the cliff, not actually, metaphorically, you will bounce. You will find your equilibrium. You will find your bouncing. There is nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. Allow yourself to be. Be kind. Be sweet. Be compassionate. Be humble. Allow yourself to be found by your own true love.
Dearest grandchildren, Grandmother Helly here. I'm offering this invitation to you from my heart, from my body to yours, and absorb it as you will. Allow it to flow freely through your life as it does. My invitation is for you to be in your body, to feel and honor this incredible vessel that we journey with in this lifetime, to tune into the wisdoms and the knowings of your heart, and to welcome the full emotional spectrum of being, to allow yourself to feel, to allow yourself to be whatever you are in that given moment, and to welcome the ebb and flow of sensations and emotions that flow through this incredible vessel made of stardust, of soils, of waters, of the trees, the birds, the butterflies, the earthworms. Feel this living connection. Feel this beautiful web that we all form part of. And feel the ageless wisdom that flows freely through her, that is abundant in life and that is not ours to keep, that does not sit in some neat little box, that gifts us all the freedom to be whatever we are, and the freedom to trust in our bodies, in our hearts, that allows us to listen truly, that allows us to follow our path, whatever it may be, in trust, in our integrity, in our bodies, open to receive all of the magic that is out there. This wisdom does not fit on some hierarchical ladder. It does not work like that. It is everywhere and it is not ours to keep. And that is the beauty of life, of her magic, of her spiral dance, of the flow of energy that we all live in, that we all form part of. At one point in my life, I felt like I had it all sorted out. I had a good job. I had lots of friends and a very busy, adventurous life. And yet inside, I was empty. I tried to read a book called A Path with Heart by Jack Cornfield that was recommended for a course I was doing. And I couldn't get beyond the first 2 pages without dissolving into tears. This inner knowing that my heart was screaming that this is not your life. This is not your path. This is the path that you think you should follow, but is not the path that you feel. It is not in your truth. And this rupture was a gift, an initiation into the underworld, into the darkest depths of despair, into a cycle of rebirth that has been tender, raw, wild, and such a gift. And in that gift, I learned to be in my heart, to be in my body and to honor her, to love her, to feel the love that flows through our lives, through our universe in such abundance, and to feel truly grateful for all that is alive within us, outside of us, all that has been, all that will go after us. And this is the love that I pass on to you, that I feel for you deeply and dearly. And it is not a love that we can put into boxes. It is a love that flows freely through us. I invite you to feel that love, to honor her, to cherish her whispers, her roars, her truths, her learnings and unlearnings. I love you, dear grandchildren, and I am so grateful for this life and for everything that we share and experience in it.
Dearest grandchildren, this is Grandmother Barbara. And we are all grandchildren. We are all great grandchildren. We are all great, great, great grandchildren. And perhaps you are the last leaf, or perhaps you're the new branch. But we all share this invitation to be part of life, to be in the great river of life that flows through the whole of our lives. It's a momentum that you cannot stop. And like a river, there may be wide parts, there may be narrow parts. There may be times when the river rushes and time when the river slows. And I'm just going to share a story of one of my grandmothers, both my grandmothers actually, because they were an expression into life of just being good women, being women of honor and simplicity. And my mum's mum, Nana Peg, was very activist. She'd write to the government and whatever prime minister was in power and say what needed to be said. She was fearless. She saw through lies, and she was very vocal about what she saw and what she understood, and at the same time humble. And my dad's mum, Nana Kit, she was always of service, loving, kind, sweet. And these women demonstrated to me how to be as a woman in the world with the different strengths and capacities that they each shared. And when their great-grandson, my son, was about to be born, Nana Kit by then had become blind, and all she could knit were some little squares in white and yellow wool. And Nana Peg knitted them together into a blanket to cover him when he was new. And so it is that we work with each other. So it is that we collaborate. We may have limitations like blindness or whatever experiences we share that challenge us, but they become part of our lives, part of our stories. And as Khalil Gibran says, and could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And so here is our invitation to be guided by the truth, by goodness, by beauty, by these things that are arising in each of us that keeps us on the path towards the true expression of our human divine nature, the creative expressions, the expressions of love, the expressions of care, the expressions of our pure being as we appreciate everything that there is to appreciate in life. It's just about being. That's it. As simple as that. So I wish you joy, and I wish you courage in your suffering. I wish you awakening to your true nature. And I wish you love. And I wish you tenderness and compassion in the moments of sorrow. And I wish you an enormous adventure. Blessings, dear grandchildren.
Dear grandchildren, grandmother, Amma Amisha here. Firstly, I just want you to know that you are precious and you're needed here. It can sometimes feel in this world that that's not true. In amongst all of the noise and all of the challenges and all of the survival and the darkness, it's easy to question why you're here. Always remember that so much happened to make it possible for you to come into this world. That there is something that you have to offer these times. A lifetime is both long and short in mysterious ways. Sometimes it feels like a day will never end, and sometimes they go by so quick you don't even know how that happened. Through each of your lifespans, you will find that it almost feels like you live hundreds of different lives. There are so many moments in my life, versions of myself that I've been, places that I've been, stories of only one generation or two generations back that feel like they're from some other time that's unimaginable. That is the beauty, that in every moment we're all of those things. We are the past, we are the future, and we're here now. We're carrying all of these stories, memories, trauma, and resilience from our ancestors, from everything that they have survived, walked through, thrived, perhaps some of you, in order to bring you here. And we're carrying with us in our cells everything that's possible for the future, everything that's possible for our future generations, for you, for your grandchildren. It's really quite miraculous, all that we are. And so always remember how much of a miracle you are. And I say that in the least new agey way possible. I say that with the sheer magnificence of what that really means. And so in those day-to-day moments of showing up for capitalism and the washing up and all of the other bits that you might still have to tend to, keep that part of yourself alive, that part of yourself that connects to the miracle that you are. Of course, this is not in an arrogant way, because we're all miracles. And so you can remember, as you connect with people that you meet in the streets, people that you see on TV. If you watch TV, who knows what's going on by then. But every single human and every single animal, they have souls, and perhaps even the trees. And there's so much happening in this more than human world, and all of it is miraculous. One of the things that I've really learned is a dance with belonging, how it feels in my body to be a body that's moved around, that's been in different places, that doesn't have a clear, where are you from, answer. I can feel it in my body, the stories of my father's side of the family, where as long as we know back, every generation moved. They began again. They came into a culture as an outsider, and they created a life. Some of you may not know what that feels like. You may be born in a country that all of your ancestors, as far as you know back, are from. You may have experienced a life where you have extended family everywhere and family friends that have been in your family for generations. And some of these things might give you a sense of belonging that you take for granted. And I feel that this is a time that we anchor into our privilege, not with guilt or with shame, but with the love that it allows us to give, to know that the privilege that we have means that we might have a more regulated nervous system. We might have a more deeper sense of belonging. We might have resources in order to heal our trauma, to connect deeper to our joy. And that this is a time where we know that that's not there for everyone. We know that there are more refugees, especially due to climate and war, than there have been in other times. That there are so many that are hungry, that are searching for home, that have not manifested their experiences, but that are living very fully within the systems of oppression that we find ourselves in. And so my prayer for you is that you take care of your body, of your mind, of your energy system, that you learn what it is. At this particular time, they're saying that 1 in 2 adults in the Western world will get dementia. And so what does it mean to care for your mind, to allow yourself to be a vessel of love and wisdom and care? What does it mean to care for your body? I remember my father saying to me when he was dying that he'd focused so much on the mind because that was the tool of that time. In trying to heal through the mind, he hadn't paid enough attention to his body. And here we are at a time where we have an understanding of the mind, the body, the soul, and spirit, and how we can live with all of it and how we can understand ourselves as energetic beings as well. And so please, please, grandchildren, make your body, make your energy, make your mind a safe space for as many other humans as possible, for the more than human world, and for yourself. Make this vessel of your exquisite creativity, intuition, and those gifts that you came here to share. Make that vessel clear so you can be part of this creation of our more beautiful future. Live in a way where you are both a child and an elder, where you are integrated in the present, the past, and the future. And don't let yourself be limited by dominant culture ideas that keep you small. Dear grandchildren, this is what we have to share, but make space for us to listen to you, for we know that you know something that we don't know, and we welcome that into this world. Thank you for tuning in. If you are enjoying this episode, do join our membership. For a small contribution, you can be part of our community, where we deepen the conversation and offer spaces of learning and embodiment. As a member, you are a patron supporting the making of this show, keeping the episodes full length, free and accessible for all. And you receive a number of benefits, such as monthly soul space, going deeper sessions, access to our library of workshops, and discounts on all our online and in-person experiences. Our membership is what makes us able to make this show and stay advertising free in a world that is always trying to sell us stuff we don't need. Head to allthatweare.org/membership to find out more and join today.
I invite us to share one thing that we can invite or encourage. And then I would also like to share an evolutionary blessing that I wrote when a friend's child was born. So it's for a newborn. Darling one, welcome, welcome, welcome. You have been born into a miracle, a mystery so extraordinary you will never fully appreciate the magnificence of it, the spectacular depth and vastness of it, the inconceivable complexity and brilliance of it, the impossible heart-opening beauty of it, but you will have so much fun in the process. You are deeply woven into an ongoing, ever-evolving 13.8 billion year project of the most astonishing and phenomenal creative expression. You are one of the freshest outpourings of life into life. You can never be separated from this story as the eternal essence of life itself. You are its newest chapter, interconnected with everything, here to co-create its future. You will become fascinated by certain facets of life, and following these threads will lead you to discover your life's journey. This will be a specific combination of elements selected by you and unique to you, which will become the revelation of your individual, unrepeatable, idiosyncratic response, your contribution, your offering as one representative part of the whole, given to the whole. You will sing the song of you as you discover it, as a miraculous being born from and born into the evolutionary miracle of all that is. You will sing the song of you as part of the great harmony of the One, your presence, your expression, and your experience, your glorious efflorescence, is to perpetually become that beautiful detail in the revelation of life to life that you uniquely are. May your entire life be a blessing, full of joy and wonder, in love and celebration.
Beloveds, be in your power, your beautiful power that is alive and that flows through you, that pulses through your body and the web of everything that you touch. Remember to remember, life is precious, life is wild. You are wild, you are precious. And you will journey through this life, through its many spiral dances, in whichever way is true to you. Feel the wisdom alive in your cells. Welcome its flow, its ebb, its dance, its truth. And tune into something that is so greater than any of us can ever imagine. And know that you are safe and that you are loved. And that we are love and we are nature. And you are here right now because you are meant to be. Your gifts are welcome. And we love you.
Grandchildren, you may have to learn patience. We've all been telling you about the wonders of life and the joys and the wisdom and how everything is fundamentally this miraculous opportunity. But the way we have constructed society, you may be stuck at school and you may find it boring, and maths is boring, or whatever is boring. Just know that all things pass. Not everything is hunky-dory, not everything is fun all the time, and there are some things you just have to pay your dues. You've got to go to school, you've got to get through school, you've got to be patient with a lot of things as you grow into the fullness of your being. But these are the trials we all have to go through. So be patient. Don't kick against the pricks too hard, as they say. You bruise your toes. Just start to treasure in your imagination all those things that you're looking forward to doing, all those things which will be available to you when you have the freedom to be in charge of your life with your own decisions. All this is coming to you. Be patient and never, ever despair. Almost everything in life is allowed, but despair is a disaster. So make sure that you trust in the words that we have shared with you, the knowledge of everything. And in the end, all that is left is love.
Grandchildren, just because we're older than you doesn't mean that we know more. You're born with so much wisdom. Like us, you know how to listen. And so sit with the honeybee, sit with the oak tree, sit with the meadow, listen to the wind. We're all new here. We're all just passing through. One day we'll be gone, and others will be here. Learn to listen, learn to be, and remember, when one day you're old, everything that you've learned can be shared forward. Everything that you can bring can be, if you will just let it. Let yourself be the expression of life. We love you so much.
Dear ones, may you come home to nature to your bones as earth, to your breath as the winds of life, the voices of the trees, to your blood that pulses with the rhythms of water, with the tides, with the ebb and the flow. May you feel that fire in your belly, that desire, that passion, that longing, and may you tend it well, stoke it, kindle it, and share your light in this world. And as you come home to nature, honor the seasons, pay attention to the rhythms and the changes, and hold ceremony, gather in community, celebrate your harvest, tend the seeds as sacred, come together to share in the beauty and the sorrow of the changes, of the loss, of the births. When you come home to nature, you come home to yourself and all that you are. And remember too that your imagination is your superpower. And no matter what anyone else tells you, even science, you know your own way and you can dream wilder than you can possibly imagine, but you can imagine it. And I urge you to dream big about what this life is and what it can be when we fulfill all that we are here to be as humans. When these seeds of our potential blossom and bear fruit, what would that world be and look like and feel like? Place your attention here and know it to be true. Know that anything is possible and that you are not alone. Even those times when you feel isolated and disconnected and confused, remember the earth holding up your feet and all those roots that go so deep down, the deepest roots of your belonging that are endless. And all these beings that surround us, the more than humans, they are always here, watching, witnessing, rejoicing, awaiting you to come home to them, to listen to them, to share with them your story. So take your time, enjoy the journey, and return to your roots. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you are bringing here. Know that it is worthy and it is valuable, and you are the most precious gift.
I'd like to echo some of the words that Grandmama Isla said. Echo that invitation to find the simple yet immense joys in nature, the smell of damp soil, the embrace of cold waters, and the whisper of leaves dancing in the wind.
Dear grandchildren, trust in the contractions, because the more that you allow yourself to come in when life asks you to, you'll find that when you come out again, your wings expand that little bit further, that your reach is that little bit bigger, that you are embodying more of who you are. Know that this life is sacred, and know that you are not alone and that you belong here.
I believe I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my soul feed the earth. I believe I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my soul feed the earth. I believe
Thank you, everyone. Let's take a breath together. Thank you for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has sparked some inspiration and creativity in you. As always, you can find links to everything we mention in this episode, download our book, and discover so much more over on allthatweare.org. We give space to our guests to share their perspective without debating it or fact-checking, as this approach allows for deep, unedited conversations from the heart. We trust your discernment and wisdom to take what is useful and challenge what isn't in your own understanding. We offer spaces for discussion and integration in our membership community, which we would love for you to join. We don't believe in selling you things you don't need through this podcast, and so it's made possible by you, our beautiful community. If you loved this and would like to connect more deeply with us, please join our membership. You choose what you contribute based on our sliding scale, and you become a patron whose support makes this podcast happen, as well as receiving access to a library of many resources and invitations to nourishing events. Please also hit subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen so others can find us. This podcast is made by an all-female global team. Me, Amisha Gadiali, producer and host, Anna Greta Folderbach, who crafts the words that accompany each episode, and Mary Chan, who edits the sound so skillfully. All That We Are celebrates all that we are already and the untapped potential that lives inside us. It invites the full power of the more than human world, nature, the unseen, our ancestors and our future generations. It reminds us that we never exist in silo, through borders, timelines, or polarity, that in each and every moment, all that we are is here.